Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Hey, what's up, Lock Shoppers? Happy Friday to you all. Huss and JBM in with you today. Dusty continuing his tour of the Canadian Football League. Fun game last night. How about them Riders? We'll get to that in a minute. We've got some games coming up in the Canadian Football League. We've got a huge tilt tonight for our nation, a football nation, Canada versus Venezuela. We'll also get into a little MLB as well. Shout out to everybody listening on the Edmonton Sports Talk stream and all of the nasties hanging out in the YouTube chat. Great to have you all with us. Yes, as Patty G says, the FIFA boys reunited for a big footy episode today. The Iwanyk Big Brain Special is off the board now because we do have Spain and Germany going at it. 0-0 right now. 0-0, I should say. We're footy guys. Let's get the proper terminology. A little later on today, Portugal, France. That one's starting 3 Eastern, 2 Central, 1 p.m. Mountain. France a plus 145 favorite. Portugal plus 250 in a draw. And then, of course, we've got our big Canada-Venezuela game tonight that we're going to get into in a minute. But let's bring in the kid right now. Jake, what's going on? How are you?
Fired up. It's Friday. I'm thrilled. We got a pretty big day. All things considered, I don't know where we'd be without these international soccer tournaments right now. But I'm happy they're on. It gives you a little, afternoon sprinkle if you're into that kind of thing. Noon game, 3:00, and then tonight, Huss. We got a chance, Canada to qualify. I've already seen some big movement, actually. And I don't know if this is where we want to start, but this morning I think they were even money to qualify. Venezuela being minus 143. And then I just checked it out again. They're minus 111 now to Venezuela minus 118. So I don't know if that's money coming in. I don't know if that's, maybe Canada's getting a little bit more credit. But even if you look at the home draw away, it's pretty tight now. Plus 180 Venezuela, plus 210 to the draw, and plus 185 for Canada. So this one could go either way.
You know what? It speaks to it. And I think we got into it yesterday with Iwanyk, who broke down that Venezuela is actually ranked behind Canada in the FIFA World Rankings. But that's going to change. They've been really strong in World Cup qualifying and obviously have earned their spot here. But it's pretty close to a pick'em right now to qualify. The draw, no bet. Venezuela minus 114, Canada minus 107. And as you mentioned on the three-way, 210 for the draw, 180 plus 180 Venezuela plus 185 for Canada. So we got a shot here. I'm very torn tonight because it is an absolutely gorgeous 26 degrees and sunny here in the Peg, and Princess Auto Stadium is going to be rocking tonight, despite the 0-4 start of the Bombers. And much like the last time we were down at the stadium, needing to make sure we preserve juice for the phones to be able to watch the Stanley Cup final, I think there's going to be a lot of phones turned on watching Canada-Venezuela down at the park tonight. Hey, listen, just before we get into these games and the picks, I have to ask you. I saw a tweet from our buddy Brian Hayes last night saying that he was at the liquor store and it was the Hunger Games. What exactly is going on heading into a big summer-long weekend where the Hunger Games are taking over Ontario liquor stores right now?
Yeah, so the liquor, I think across the country, liquor's controlled differently province to province, right? So obviously the different drinking ages, et cetera, et cetera. So here we have what they call the LCBO, Liquor Control Board of Ontario. That's where you sell all your vodkas, rums, they have wine, they have beer, they have, coolers, whatever you're looking for. Basically what's happening is, I don't know the nitty gritty details, but basically, the workers and the control board are going to go on strike here. And it was looming all week. So, leading up, I got a text from my mom on Wednesday saying hey, liquor stores might be closed. You might want to go pick up your stuff here before they close. And it was looming, and nothing, they didn't come to an agreement, and the deal was if they didn't come to an agreement, it's a minimum 2 weeks that the stores would be closed.
Oh.
So yesterday was the last day they were open until they had some extended hours going on, and then once midnight struck last night, that was it. They're off for 2 weeks now. So all the LCBOs in Ontario are going to be closed for the next 2 weeks. So people were stocking up yesterday. Pardon?
Beer too?
So beer stores are separate of the LCBO, so you can still go to the beer store and pick up beer. So you're okay on that part. We're not in like a liquor prohibition here or anything crazy like that. But the beer stores will be open. So if you're a beer drinker, you're still all right. But when it comes to like any of vodka, rum, whatever you like, whiskey, like any sort of spirits, and even coolers are tough to find in the beer stores. So that's where we're staring down the barrel right now, 2 weeks without a liquor store being open.
Straight into a big time summer weekend, early July.
It's supposed to be hot this weekend.
Oh, so did you make it in? Like, did you go on a little advanced trip? And what was it as bad as people were saying it is? I remember how crazy liquor stores were during the pandemic, and they were just open, like they weren't closing.
Right.
If you told me that the next 2 weeks people would not be able to get their hands on any booze, I think you'd have like borderline civil unrest.
Yeah, I know. Luckily, the grocery stores have wine and beer as well. So, there's and restaurants and stuff will still have everything you need. It's just a matter of like, if you like to have a vodka and soda or a rum and Coke, in the evening, you got to stock up before everything closes down for 2 weeks. So yeah, we popped over there yesterday and grabbed a few coolers for the weekend, and I grabbed a few extra just in case this thing lasts a little longer than 2 weeks. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. It's an interesting time. It kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't hear much about it, and then like I said, my mom texted me on Wednesday and was like, "Hey, you might want to pop over and grab whatever you need because they could be on strike here soon."
Well, I hope all you Canada fans in Ontario got your champagne out and purchased it beforehand, because maybe, just maybe, this team will be going on to the semis tonight. Let's that's a crazy situation, and of all the time for that to be going on. I mean, with the amount of people that are going out to cottages and camps, and I guess they know how to squeeze. If there was ever a time, this time of year or right before Christmas, probably the two most disastrous times for a liquor strike. So wishing all our friends in Ontario well, make you get it through these 2 weeks without too much hardship.
Yeah, Jen in the chat says, so strange how it's split like that in Ontario, just have one store for all. They do sell beer there as well at the liquor store. So everything, you could go to the liquor store and get everything you need. But yeah, the beer stores are separate. Patty said there, yeah, beer stores are open. So it looks like I'll be chugging a little bit of beer here over the next couple weekends. So I guess that's all it is.
No kidding. I'd be fine with that. It is different. I know Alberta's just like the Wild West.
Right.
It's completely privatized, and you can sell beer pretty much anywhere. Here in between, for a long time, the rule was, and this is, you want to talk about archaic, you could only sell beer if you were connected to a hotel.
Okay.
So, and I don't know, this goes back to, I guess, guys would go in and get completely gooned and they had to have a place to stay or something like that, at least cold beer. So that's why you have, we refer to them as vendors, beer vendors, the vendor connected to hotels. That sort of changed a little bit now, and now you can get beer at liquor stores, but it's not cold. So everyone's going to find a way to get through this, Jake. But as I said, I hope that people planned, and I laughed my ass off when I saw and heard about this, and I figured that this would be something that would certainly be affecting guys like Jake and Pat going into a long weekend. All right, let's get back.
Patty said Uncle Patty's liquor cabinet's always stocked, so
yeah,
he's ready to go.
He's on top of it. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a weekend that you want to be stocked, because we've got the soccer, both Copa and Euro, 3 big CFL games, Major League Baseball, and I know there were some requests yesterday, in your neck of the woods, WWE Money in the Bank, which for me, obviously WrestleMania and SummerSlam are the two biggest events of the year. The best betting event of the year when it comes to wrestling is the Royal Rumble. But Money in the Bank is right up there. And we've got the women's and the men's matches, a couple other big ones. So we'll get to those odds. I was looking at them last night prepping for the lock shop. So it'll be interesting to see if we've had any line movement today. But just back to this Venezuela-Canada game. Again, that is 8 p.m. Winnipeg time, so 9 o'clock out in TO, 7 o'clock for those of you folks in Alberta. And, Canada's been incredible defensively. Crépeau, the goaltender, has been amazing. As Carly Lloyd pointed out, they have made it through the group, only scoring one goal. But the defense has been a big, big part of what they've been doing. Now, the South Americans, for the most part, play some teams more than others. Certainly Peru and definitely Chile that the Canadians saw were like, it was rough. There was a lot of cards. There was a ton of fouls. And Canada benefited from being up a man in that game that they needed so badly against Chile just to move on. And because of that, I'm sort of looking at these total goals here. Now, the total in the match is 2. And I mean, if anything, I think the under is the play here. Like, I could see this being a 1-0 game. I mean, I'm not really, I'd love to be wrong and see Canada go and score 2 or 3 goals. But I think, Jake, the way Jesse Marsh has this team playing, they're going to do their best to limit the opportunities of their opponents, stay in this game, and give them a chance to make one goal the difference in a match. So outside of the play in the game, the fact that it's plus 111. Now, the one thing I guess we do have to think about is that if there is one goal scored by either of the teams, because there's no extra time, well, not to mention, not really because of that at all. You have to get to extra time tied to do it. It's an elimination game. You're not worried about goal differential like you might be in the opening 3 games. It's about surviving and advancing. So at that point, the team that's down probably really opens up their game, gets really offensive. And we've often seen, much like the Canadians had happen to them against the Argentines, they're pushing down 1-0. It opens up a big chance and the ball goes down the other way for a relatively easy goal. I don't think I'd be jumping on the over though in this matchup. Like, the way Canada's played and held their opponents down, I mean, they could have easily been tied that game against Argentina. They ended up losing 2-0. But other than that, Canada's been really stout defensively. And I'm interested in your thoughts on the total as opposed to just a straight up Canada to advance or Canada to win bet.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of us are going to be on that Canada to win number, Canada to qualify. Obviously, a Coolbet, you can do it. Like we talked about the 3-way, you can hit that for 25. And I know we talked about not a lot of goals, so maybe it's not the game to do it. But if they do happen to win, and however many goals are scored in the match, you're getting a little bit of money back, regardless, right? So, I tend to agree with you though. I've watched, the Argentina game I missed, but the Peru and Chile game I was pretty dialed into, and it's tough to get any room out there. And when they do get room, like you said, Crépeau has been really impressive. Like someone we didn't get to see at the World Cup, has been really Canada's all-star player. And we heard a lot about they only scored 1 goal to advance to the group stage. Well, guess what? They only needed to score 1 goal to advance to the group stage. Like at the end of the day, you play what's in front of you. Like. And they win the game against Peru. Yes, Peru was down a man pretty early on with that red card. Probably should have been 2 red cards. The headbutt they just completely ignored. And then the Chile game, they went down a man as well. But guess what? They only needed a draw to advance anyways. A draw was a win for Canada in that scenario. So listen, they know today is a lot different because they do need to win this game. Yeah, they could take it to penalties like we saw yesterday in the Argentina game. But there's no guarantee that they're going to win penalties. So I think I'd agree with you. I'm imagining a 1-0 game, and I'm hoping that's going to be in our favor when it's all said and done. So I think they have a chance with the way they've been playing. I know Buchanan got hurt, and that's a bit of a concern. But they got a lot of strong play. Schaffelberg's been great. He was another guy we didn't really see at the World Cup. I didn't remember seeing him at all when I went back and watched. I was like, oh, this guy's impressive. I think you said they call him, you know what? They call him the Maritime Messi, I think they call him. I looked it up. So they call him because he's from the East Coast. So, yeah, he's been awesome. Obviously, we know what Davies is. And, losing Buchanan's tough, but it's just a next man up mentality for this team. And, I'm really hoping they pull through. I'm sure a lot of us here, a lot of us in the chat feel the same way.
Listen, I think, and I don't know, any of this real hardo soccer guys in the chat can maybe let me know, but I think that a win in this matchup against a good South American side going to the semifinals of the biggest tournament the team will play in at any point in between two World Cups would be up there amongst the biggest wins in the history of the program. Now, they had the great qualifying run to get to the World Cup. Certainly that is up there. But again, when we're talking about top South American teams, and listen, they'd have another chance to go up against Argentina if they win. Now, we'll worry about that when it happens. I did mention this yesterday, but I'll reset it if anybody missed it. If you did ride with me on the Canada to advance out of the group stage but lose in the quarters at plus 400, I think the plan is to not just sit there and hope that Canada loses and cash that ticket. I think this is the beautiful hedge opportunity where we jump on Canada to qualify at minus 111. And I'm just going to do the math here. So say you put $20 on it at 4-1 and it pays $100 if Canada loses. You could essentially guarantee yourself a win by, say, betting 50 on Canada to qualify at minus 111. That'll pay, let's see what that'll pay, about 95. So essentially you'll have bet $70 and you will win either 100 or 95. So you can't lose. You'll be getting money. And at least this way you can sort of cheer for Canada. Because the one thing I do not want to be in the situation, like, listen, if they do bow out, fine, you kind of have the insurance. But if anything, maybe even 60. And that way, if Canada wins, it'll be $80 wager, and you're winning either 100 or 114.
So what was the bet? What was the bet though? It was to advance to the semi. That's what you had.
The bet was plus 400 for Canada to be eliminated in the quarterfinal.
Oh, to be eliminated in the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
it was basically essentially to get out of the group stage
and then be done right then.
And then lose that first round. And I thought I was being optimistic at that point. Now I'm like, damn, I wish I think it was like
we go to the semi to reach the semi.
I think it was 9-1 for the semi. So anyone that jumped on that, credit to you. But that's I think the way I'm going to play this one to guarantee that I don't lose the original wager and are really invested in Canada winning as opposed to sort of being, oh, well, it was nice they scored, but I don't want to be in that situation for our team tonight. Right. So we'll be jumping in on that. Staying with the soccer. Ooh, the big brain parlay looking good. Spain up 1-0 on Germany right now. That is in the 66th minute. So we'll keep an eye on that.
I want to say one more thing too, Huss, on the Copa when we get on and get a chance here. If you go to the main page of Coolbet, you just click the Coolbet icon in the top left. You can do it on mobile or on desktop, and you'll see there's some cards there at the top. These are our combo cards. It's a new feature we've got in the last couple of weeks here. So you'll see the game of the day is Canada Venezuela, and then if you scroll across there, there's a little scroller on desktop. You should be able to just swipe with your finger. There are some combo cards for the Canadian games. So there's one here. It's Venezuela, Canada. Both teams to score, yes. Total cards over 4.5, and then Venezuela to qualify. We're not really interested in that one. But the two other ones are Maple Magic, anytime goal scorer Jonathan David, and Canada to qualify. And then a double chance, Canada draw, and Alphonso Davies, anytime goal scorer. That's called the Fonzie Frenzy. So, if you're having trouble finding those, click the Coolbet logo in the top left corner. You can do it on mobile or desktop, like I said, and you'll see right at the top there, they're called combo cards. There's a ton. You just swipe over, find the ones you like, and you can bet those. So the David anytime and Canada qualifies plus 509, and Alfonso to score, and Canada draw double chances plus 626 there.
Love these. And the site looks amazing these days, by the way. Give some shout out to the boys in the IT department. They're looking good. We've even got the jerseys up there on the Venezuela, Canada.
It's quite nice.
And that is, by the way, if you're just betting that by on its own, that is today's, what's the boring match guarantee? That's 0-0?
Yeah, so I think if the game ends, for soccer, if the game ends 0-0 in a draw, you get, sorry, I'm just looking at here. If the match ends 0-0 and you lose your bet on the match result, so you got to pick home draw away.
Yeah.
So if you pick, Canada and it ends 0-0, we refund your stake up to $30. So if you say you had 30 on Canada on the home draw away odds and it goes to draw 0-0, we refund you $30. Yeah.
Tell you what, that's nice. If you combine that with the $5 goal bonus, and I'm looking, it's also the 5% multiplier.
Right.
Pretty juicy promos for the soccer game today. So again, that's the top left corner. There is, just for those of you that are getting ready for this game this afternoon, a couple Portugal and France specials too. The Portugal special is the first half double chance, Portugal or draw. Portugal shots on target in regulation 3.5, over 3.5, and a Ronaldo goal plus 466. The France special is most shots on target, 3-way France, team with most corners, France, and Kylian Mbappe will score. That is plus 810. He's got the one goal and a penalty. Missed that one game with a broken nose. He seems to come up biggest in the biggest games. I actually think I'm going to get a little bit of action down on this France special.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get on the France.
I would imagine the shots in the corners. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't have one thing I'll bet on is in the Copa over the fouls, because there are so many fouls and the cards and all that. I mean, that's certainly been cashing. But that's an intriguing France special at plus 810 with Mbappe and Canada having most shots on target and most corners. So that is all there right now. The other Copa games in the playoffs are tomorrow. Colombia is a huge favorite, minus 345 on the 3-way over Panama. But the game of the outside of Venezuela, Canada, the game that I think is most intriguing tomorrow night at 8, Uruguay, Brazil. That was, as Matt mentioned, everyone thought that was going to be the semifinal, but because Brazil didn't win their group, these South American Titans have to go head to head. And Brazil's a slight favorite, plus 175. Uruguay's probably looked better through the tournament right now. Plus 192, and a draw is 2-1. And just as we should mention, these are the Copa futures right now. Canada to win the entire tournament is 60-1. Argentina minus 167. Brazil 450. Uruguay 500. Colombia 7-1. Venezuela 35-1, and Canada 60-1. Panama, no love for the Panamanians. 175.
You're Panama. You got to play Colombia in the quarterfinal and one of Brazil or Uruguay in the semi. So good
no
luck.
One can believe they're there in the first place. I mean, ultimate choke job by the USA. But hey, shout out to Canada. I mean, you want to talk, and Panama for that matter. No USA, no Mexico. I mean, the teams that have really been the standard in CONCACAF for so long, both out. So you got to love it. We've reached the final numbers for Brazil, Colombia, and Uruguay on that one side. Mm-hmm. And then they've got some awards. I won't get into that because I really don't know the players very well, but best goalkeeper, best player of the tournament. Interesting that Messi's 3-1. He missed his penalty yesterday. He hadn't scored. He didn't play in the third game. I think that's sort of there for the taking. I think that's almost more a reputation bet. And then the fact that there's a good chance they'll play a couple more games and more chances to do it. But that is it. The Canada specials, minus 139 losing the quarterfinal. So again, if you're doing that, you're much better off just betting Venezuela to qualify. I think that's at like minus 118 as opposed to that. But if you think they can win and then they're out in the semi, it's plus 120. Losing in the finals 15-1, and then obviously winning the entire thing is 60-1. Canada's top scorer, Jonathan David's minus 400 because he has been the lone goal scorer. I mean, Kyle Larin could tie that. Davies is 9-1 right now. Likely it'll be Jonathan David, and I know there's some people that'll be jumping on that David prop that will like to see that happen. So all there together. Euro continues tomorrow with 2 more games. England, Switzerland. England a plus 128 fave, and Netherlands still a pretty big favorite on the 3-way, minus 159. And again, the big brain parlay from Iwanyk is Spain. They're up 1-0, and then we need France, England, and Netherlands. Getting a result in Spain in Germany against the Germans would be huge for that one, and we'll see how that goes. All right, big game for. Listen, I know I need to be unbiased here. Brett Lothar is a part of the Coolbet team.
Rider Nation.
Yeah, he stayed cool last night and got the win. Hey, listen, I got to tell you, we have a great rivalry with the Riders. The Bombers have been kicking their ass for a number of years. It's really adding a lot to the rivalry right now. This great start for the Riders at 4-0 and the Bombers at 0-4, desperately needing a win tonight. And it's going to make that Labor Day trip that much more juicy. I do remember in 2011, I think we went for a trip down there. We took a couple buses. The Bombers were 7-1, and the Riders were 1-7. And the Riders won the Labor Day Classic and then won the Banjo Bowl as well. So you can throw the records out when these teams are playing, but they're not throwing the record out right now in Saskatchewan. 4-0 right now. They were 4-point dogs last night in the game. Can't remember what the money line number was.
Plus 175.
Plus 175. So anyways, a great win. And now they've got the long week. Sit back and watch everyone beat the heck out of each other. Updated lines right now. The only line movements in this Bomber game tonight. Ottawa is plus 115 on the money line. The Bombers are minus 139. And the spread is down to 2. 2 points in favor of the Bombers. Chris Streveler is starting tonight, so no Zach Caleros. And it's weird. I think Streveler is just such a bit of a wild card that the book has a tough time putting passing numbers on right now until they actually see him in a full game. I thought he looked pretty good in the second half. Like the third quarter, not so much. Crunch time, much like he did as the king of the fourth quarter in the NFL preseason back when he was with the Jets. Rallied the team, got it to OT, but unfortunately made a mistake. We do have some receiving yards, though, for the Bombers tonight. Drew Wolodarski's at 44.5, and Nick Dembski's at 54.5. Other than that, I mean, all of the guys that are playing for Winnipeg are basically new, have not played at all. Recent, like Clarius, there was a second-round draft pick in the Canadian draft. He's starting tonight. So if you're looking for a receiving prop, it's Wolodarski, it's Dembski. I actually think these are very reasonable numbers to potentially go over. I'm looking at the reception numbers. There's still no numbers on receptions. I was going to put together the WST parlay, and we do have it. So listen, we've got numbers. We've got numbers on this. Bombers to win. Brady Oliveira over 49.5 rushing yards. I think the prop is 53.5. So just to get 50 yards on the ground, and then 3 or more receptions for Dembski and 3 more receptions for Wolodarski. And I think this is maybe a bit of a safer play than the yardage numbers because of the nature of the Bombers offense with Streveler in it. I think if they're throwing long, he's going to be trying to identify some of these guys that, are wide out, but Dembski and Wolodarski are going to be those outlets, quick passes. So I do like the reception numbers. Whether they get the yardage, I guess we'll see. But for the WST parlay, it's Bombers money line, Oliveira to rush for 50 or more, and 3 or more catches for Dembski and Wolodarski. That one's up at plus 335. And we do have a little WST double. We got the Sea Bears playing in Montreal tonight. Bombers at home to Ottawa. Both teams to win, plus 215.
I went rogue. Number. I went rogue with that one and just threw it up right before we started. I knew you'd like that. So
I love it. And we'll look forward to it, letting everybody know at WST about that a little bit later on. Just looking back at the CFL games, though, I should just quickly, for those that are maybe putting together some sort of a parlay, and we do have a lock shop on, we'll get to in a minute. Dusty really likes Calgary. We kind of went back and forth on this when we were putting together our picks. I think when I picked them just against the spread in the EST pool, I went with Montreal. And I don't know, maybe that's just Jake Mayer and Calgary didn't look great last week against the Bombers despite the win, and Montreal has been so good so far this year. But I think I was putting a lot into their win over the Argos and Dukes. We saw Dukes just get exposed yesterday by Saskatchewan right now. So Dusty's on the stamps, and in the end, I can always sort of be okay with taking 9.5 points.
For sure.
We're going to roll with that. And then I still like Hamilton plus the 5.5 against BC. BC's played in a lot of close games. Historically, they don't travel very well, like all the way across the country to the east. And Hamilton, much like the Bombers, are going to be a real desperate team tonight. So, by the way, that Bomber number just went back to 2.5. So we have put together the Lock Shop CFL parlay. It's Bombers minus 2.5, Stamps plus 9.5, and the Ticats plus 5.5. And if you want it, we got a nice boost on that one, though. That one's up to plus 675 in the exclusives as well. And it was a nice start with the Riders yesterday, as much as it's difficult for a guy from Winnipeg to bet the Riders. Did it. And the other thing that came out to me, Jake, and this was part of my reasoning why I could hang with Dusty and kind of go against my original pick with Calgary plus 9.5. These games in the CFL have been unbelievable, man. Like last week, 3 of the 4 games were walk-offs. So there's a real level of kind of parity right now. And even the 0-4 teams, 1 or 2 plays goes a different way. And the Bombers could be 2-2 or 3-1. So the big numbers have not really been covering very much so far this year. I mean, if you've been betting underdogs on teams of 5 or more points, you'd be laughing right now.
Right.
And a big part of that is the Bombers. So anyways, I don't mind that. And we've got it up right now, plus 675 for Bombers 2.5, Calgary plus 9.5, Hamilton plus 5.5 for it all. Do you want to go through any of the other exclusives that you got cooked up? Because there's quite a bit for the CFL and MLB, as well as the daily exclusives. And then we can quickly touch on a little money in the bank.
Yep, absolutely. First thing I'll say actually is the CFL, since we're on the CFL, the win boost is available every week. I did a video on it yesterday on the Instagram and TikTok of Coolbet. So, if you're on Instagram, on TikTok, head over there, give us a follow, check that out. But pretty straightforward. You don't have to opt in, nothing. Pick your favorite CFL bets. Works for parlays as well. You'll see the apply 20% multiplier, and you get a little extra juice on your favorite play each and every week. So, and that'll be right up to the Grey Cup. So
my move now for the 20% boost. Sometimes if there's just one game that I really like, okay, I'll just bet that and I'll use the boost and maybe make a bit bigger of a bet. But you always love to go 4-0 with the picks. And I think early on in the week, often I think you can sort of, because I mean, lines do move. And, when the lines come out on Tuesday, I will often put my 4 picks in and use the 20% on the 4-gamer. And I mean, at that point, when you're cranking out, 4 games with the odds and then the 20% boost, it really gets it up. Now, obviously, you got to run the table. But if you're able to do that, you'll be able to get a bigger juice on that win percentage, if you will, of banging it on the 2. Here, I'll just quickly hit these CFL dailies. I think Jake's back.
No,
here, but
I'm back, yeah.
Brady, this is the Brady Oliveira prop. Hometown hero. Oliveira, 50 rushing yards, an anytime touchdown, and the Bombers to win is plus 230. You can't handle the Druth.
Patty went off today.
Pretty good, Pat. Drew Brown, 275 plus passing yards, 2 passing TDs, and the Red Blacks to win. That is plus 400. And Pound the Rock, Raquel Armstead and Brady Oliveira both to record 70 plus rushing yards. That's intriguing to me. The Bombers have not been able to really establish the run so far this year. And part of it has been just the new faces in the interior of the offensive line. But I mean, we've been talking about it all week on this show that they have to establish the run. That's been their identity for the last number of years. And the fact that Strevler is in the game and runs as well as he does, hopefully from a Bomber standpoint, maybe giving a little bit more looks and respect to Strevler that might help Oliveira. And on the other side, Armstead's had some nice looks, and he actually had some couple pretty solid runs against the Bombers earlier this year when they played. So if you do like a bit of a ground attack, 70 plus yards for the 2 running backs tonight at plus 600. You want to just touch on a couple of your favorites from the other MLB and the dailies?
Yeah, we got some coming up here in a little bit. The Cristiano Ronaldo to score 1+ goals in Portugal to qualify, or whether we're calling this I believe that's how it's pronounced. That's plus 375 there for the Euro at 3 o'clock. I believe we have another one for the Euro as well. Yeah, Ale Le Bleu. Mbappe to score, Griezmann to score or assist, and France to qualify. That's plus 575. And then I believe the rest should be for the Canada game. Some pretty simple ones. Davies to score or assist, and Canada to qualify at plus 450. We talked about him already. Maritime Messi, Jacob Schaffelberg to score a goal, and Canada to qualify as well. That's the juiciest one on the board right now, plus 775. So those are all the soccer ones over there, and then we have some baseball ones as well. All Goss, no breaks. Kevin Gausman to record 7+ strikeouts, and the Jays to win. I can't get behind that right now. The Jays have been just awful.
I didn't even want to bring them up to you.
They're unwatchable. So listen, I'm not going to back that one up, but if you do like the Jays today and Gausman on the bump, it's plus 205. We have the Maple Mashers. This one, I like these ones. We do this one for the Canadian baseball guys, and there's not a ton in the league, but there's this Tyler O'Neill, plays for the Red Sox, and Freddie Freeman for the Dodgers, both to record 2+ total bases at plus 450. If you want to support the Canadians, and with the Jays being as bad as they are, that's always a good one to look at, the Maple Mashers there. And then we got to chalk it up. Yankees, Guardians, and Dodgers all to win, plus 335, and a strikeout prop. Sonny Gray, Aaron Nola, and Luis Castillo all to record 6+ strikeouts at a juicy plus 675.
Hey, just before we move on from baseball, do you have a game that you like, a money line bet? Because we could put a double play in. I'm just going through with mine, and I'm going to ride with Livy Dunn's boyfriend.
Okay, Skeens,
the beast. The Pirates are minus 141. He's 4-0 with the 2.06 ERA. I just love the guy. He is so much fun to watch. Now right in the mix for Rookie of the Year. Now that he finally got called up and is doing what he thinks. So Pitt at minus 141, I would throw on that. I somehow managed to mush the Brewers and the Dodgers last night. So if you have a team, a money line that you want to throw in that, we could bang out a little double play as well.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm just looking at recent form here. I don't mind the Red Sox at plus money against the Yankees. The Yankees have kind of skid lately. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They're on a 3-game skid right now. And the Red Sox have been hot. They won 4 straight, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 at Yankee Stadium. But I think the Red Sox, I think they're one of those teams where the Yankees get a little bit shaky, and the way they're playing right now, I don't mind the plus money on the Red Sox.
The Tanner Hooks pitching for the Red Sox. He got roughed up in his last start, but before that had won 4 straight and had 4 straight quality starts. So yeah, let's do it. Let's go Pirates, Red Sox. And that'll be nice. Plus money along with the minus 141 Pirates. We can get a pretty nice number. And I love betting against the Yankees just in general out of principle. So let's we can pop that on. All right, listen, it's 12:45. We got to get to this. It's not a, what do we call them? It's the PLE, WWE Premium Live Event, and wrestling fans from around the world gathering in Toronto. Here's what we got for Money in the Bank, people. All right, big 6-man match between the Bloodline, and I think they're calling them Super Friends. Cody Rhodes, the WWE Undisputed Champion, along with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And the Bloodline, heavy favorite. I mean, they're dominating the storylines as they have for a long time. We're waiting for Roman to come back and probably go against the new Bloodline. They're minus 500. I probably won't be touching this one, but it certainly seems like the book expects the Bloodline to win. If you do want to take a flyer on the champ, Randy and KO, plus 300. Interesting Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn, the Canadian, is the champ, plus 125. He's going up against Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker, a younger guy, just brought up from NXT. They have really been pushing him right now. He's sort of been the guy that has been on this run, taking out guy week after week after week. It does seem like they have a plan for Braun Breaker. I do think that Intercontinental match may end up being like at SummerSlam, might be one of those 6 or 8-man matches where they have a ladder and they go crazy. But I think for Braun in this state, I understand why he's the favorite. And I think I'd lean to Braun Breaker for that one. Now we've got I'll do the Money in the Bank matches last. The World Heavyweight Championship, Damian Priest against Seth Rollins. Like, Rollins really doesn't need to win this match very much. I've heard some rumors that he may be having some sort of a heel turn relatively soon. And I think Damian Priest, the way things are going with the the Judgment Day, that's their faction, he's not long for them. But there is a general consensus that it'll likely be Gunther going up against Priest at SummerSlam. And that's why Damian Priest is the minus 200 favorite for that. But the two most fun matches are the Money in the Bank. And it's a ladder match. You've got 6 guys in, whoever gets the briefcase. And this is what, when you're thinking about this and maybe who you're going to go on, you have to think about what the storylines will be coming out of this. Jey Uso, former member of the Bloodline, is the favorite at even money at plus 100. He's a real good guy right now and is so popular. He probably is going to be getting a title shot at some point anyways. Like, I don't know whether they really need Jey Uso to win this one. Drew McIntyre is interesting at plus 125. He's sort of got this thing going on with CM Punk. And it looks like they're going to be matching. There's a lot of speculation that Drew might actually win the briefcase earlier in the show and then cash in on Drew McIntyre or Seth Rollins at the end and be the champion by the end of the day. So the plus 125, I don't mind on Drew McIntyre. The only other guy, like Carmelo Hayes at 7, Andrade at 12, LA Knight at 15, out on all of those. Chad Gable, you would never think could potentially win the Money in the Bank. He's been in a bunch of different storylines lately, but they have always been pushing him. And being a bad guy, being a bit of a weasel, he might be a perfect guy to have that briefcase. So I would have thought that Chad Gable would have been around 10 or 12 to 1. The fact that it's at 4 is actually getting my spidey senses tingling. And if you were looking for a fun bet on a bit more of a long shot in this matchup, I think Gable is the one. I probably, given to just betting one, I think I'm going to go Drew McIntyre at plus 125. But as I say, the more I think about it, and again, they're both plus money. I could make a smaller bet on Gable, and you want to have two options in this one. But Drew at plus 125, I think that's probably where I'm going to go. But I am thinking Chad Gable. And then the women's Money in the Bank match. Ooh, and interesting. This has actually moved since last night. Tiffany Stratton, Tiffy time, was minus 145 yesterday. Chelsea Green plus 100. And to me, this is a 2-horse race. Lyra Valkyria, 10-1, Zoe Stark, 12, Naomi, 14, Io Sky, 40. I don't see any of them winning. To me, it's one of the two. Now, Stratton is incredible. She's the back flipping Barbie. We've talked about her before on this program, on a couple others, like gorgeous, ridiculous athlete. She's on a rocket ship to the top. But again, much like Jey Uso, I don't know whether they need to give her the briefcase. Although if she did get it, she'd probably put a bunch of glitter on it and a bunch of things. Like, they could actually really run with it and make it cool. So, I mean, I do understand why she's the favorite. I will point out, though, Chelsea Green at even money, who was like off the roster a while ago, has come back. Great personality. Her interviews are amazing. She actually can wrestle as well. And if she was to win, this would elevate her to a much higher level than she's at right now. And that's a big part of what the Money in the Bank matches do. Tiffany Stratton really doesn't need to win this. If Chelsea Green does, I think it completely changes the way people think about her and adds a whole nother element. So I'm going to be taking even money on Chelsea Green in the women's Money in the Bank match. And I do think, we can do a few parlays too on this one. So you've got some options. I mean, I just put in Braun Breaker to win the Intercontinental, Chelsea Green, and Drew McIntyre for the men's money. Can we do an exclusive, a Money in the Bank exclusive?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was going to say, I don't know anything about wrestling. I'm not even going to pretend to know anything about wrestling. Our guy, Jared.
Oh, we just lost Jake for a minute. I love the, I definitely want to know more about putting in, but as I said, being someone that watches this on a pretty regular basis and stays on top of it, I think that they absolutely know what they're talking about. Jake, do we have you back? Are you muted? We're having a little issue with Jake, and geez, we're up against it too. 12:52. Well, we'll find out more, but I'm going to see if the guys want. We'll just go with those 3 picks. This will be the ride with Huss for Money in the Bank. Braun Breaker to win the Intercontinental Championship. Chelsea Green for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. She's plus 100 on her own. And Drew McIntyre plus 125. If you put those in on your own, it's plus 607. So the guys will usually have a pretty good boost.
Sorry,
Jake,
Huss.
Yeah, no problem.
Last thing I was going to say is just our guy Jared's incredible. He puts these all together. He's on right now, so I can absolutely send that over to him. I got them all here lined up, so I'll send that over to him, and we'll get a little ride with Huss for Money in the Bank this weekend.
That'll be great. We'll throw that up in the Lock Shop partner parlays, along with the double play, myself and Dusty's CFL parlay, which you'll want to get in before kickoff tonight in Winnipeg. And other than that, everyone, enjoy the weekend. God bless and good luck to everyone in the Ontario area that didn't hit the liquor store. Any Ontario people that are going and taking part in Money in the Bank, enjoy it. To our friends in Alberta, enjoy the Elks bye week. And to everyone here in Winnipeg, fingers crossed this team can get off the schneid tonight and cash that WST parlay. Jake, have an awesome weekend, dude. Looking forward to catching up with you and Patty next week.
Have a good one, Huss.
Take it easy. We'll send you back to EST, folks. Have a great weekend.